This is Trump in 2016.
Well, first of all, I think, and I know the H-1B very well, and it's something that I frankly use, and I shouldn't be allowed to use. We shouldn't have it. Very, very bad for workers. And second of all, I think it's very important to say, well, I'm a businessman, and I have to do what I have to do, and it's sitting there waiting for you, but it's very bad. It's very bad for business in terms of, it's very bad for our workers, and it's unfair for our workers, and we should end it.
That's why Trump got elected.
Republicans have to talk about it.
And does that mean the H-1B visa thing will not be a big priority for your administration? Because if you want to raise wages for American workers, you can't flood the country with tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of foreign workers.
You also do have to bring in talent. When
we
a
have
country
plenty of talented people here.
No, you don't.
We don't have talented people here?
No, you don't have certain talents, and people have to learn. You can't take people off an unemployment line and say, I'm going to put you into a factory where we're going to make missiles, or I'm going to put
How did we ever do it before?
So what's going on? Why the mixed messaging? Now, again, I would encourage all of you, the motto should be always chimp out. As this Trump supporting account notes, Trump is not an ideologue. He's pragmatic. He's incredibly persuadable. It's a strength, but with the wrong people surrounding him, it turns into a disaster. You have to be completely blind to not see this. Well, he is persuadable. It's in our interest to see that he's persuaded. Wall Street Math says, I really hope that Stephen Miller or someone else can explain to President Trump this is not what we voted for. This is a path for giving away the midterms in 2026 and Democrats launching investigations and impeachments for 2 years. Trump's base is going to stop caring soon if this continues. Trump needs to turn it around. Worth noting, Trump endorsed Vivek Ramaswamy 4 days ago. Vivek's running for governor of Ohio, of course, Indian descent. Tonight, Trump said he needs thousands of H-1B workers because America has no talent. The result of the midterms will stem from here. And that's possible. Let's refresh our recollection. This is December 26, 2024. Vivek writes, the reason top tech companies often hire foreign-born and first-generation engineers over Native Americans isn't because of an innate American IQ deficit. That's a lazy and wrong explanation. A key part of it comes down to the C word, culture. Tough questions demand tough answers. And if we're really serious about fixing the problem, we have to confront the truth. Our American culture has venerated mediocrity over excellence for way too long, at least since the 1990s and likely longer. That doesn't start in college, it starts young. A culture that celebrates the prom queen over the math Olympiad champ or the jock over the valedictorian will not produce the best engineers. A culture that venerates Corey from Boy Meets World or Zach and Slater over Screech and Saved by the Bell or Stefan over Steve Urkel and Family Matters will not produce the best engineers. Fact, I know multiple sets of immigrant parents in the 90s who actively limited how much their kids could watch those TV shows precisely because they promoted mediocrity. And their kids went on to become wildly successful STEM graduates. More movies like Whiplash, fewer reruns of Friends, more math tutoring, fewer sleepovers, more weekend science competitions, fewer Saturday morning cartoons, more books, less TV, more creating, less chilling, more extracurriculars, less hanging out at the mall. Most normal American parents look skeptically at those kinds of parents. More normal American kids view those kinds of kids with scorn. If you grow up aspiring to normalcy, normalcy is what you will achieve. Now, close your eyes and visualize which families you knew in the 90s or even now who raised their kids according to one model versus the other. Be brutally honest. Normalcy doesn't cut it in a hyper-competitive global market for technical talent, and if we pretend like it does, we'll have our asses handed to us by the Chinese. This can be our Sputnik moment. We've awakened from slumber before. We can do it again. Trump's election hopefully marks the beginning of a new golden era in America, but only if our culture fully wakes up. A culture that once again prioritizes achievement over normalcy, experience over mediocrity, nerdiness over conformity, hard work over laziness. That's the work we have cut out for us rather than wallowing in victimhood and just wishing or legislating alternative hiring practices into existence. I'm confident we can do it. So that was Vivek, December 26, 2024. There's a lot wrong and there's a lot right about this. It's mostly wrong. It's mostly wrong. Of course, you want drivers in society, drivers of excellence in society. But guess what? There is no nation in which every person in the population is hard driven to be a world-class engineer. That's not reality. That's never been reality. I grew up, I came of age, I graduated high school and went to college in the 80s. And we had plenty of drivers for excellence. It was the IT revolution. The internet was about to explode. Americans were developing all of that. We had the space shuttle going. We were just wrapping up 2 decades of going to space, going to the moon. We did all that. We did all that. You don't need 100% of the nation to be top shelf engineers. There's only going to be a small fraction of any nation's population that can do that. America can have that and also have prom queens and also have football players and also have artists. We don't have some kind of weird robotic monoculture. When we went to the moon, was everybody in the nation a NASA scientist? Of course not. There's a place for everybody in our nation. But to the extent we have world-class engineers in America, I would suggest it's in America's interest that they be American. American, not third world. And not just paperwork Americans, cultural Americans. A nation of 340 million people, it is impossible to convince me that we can't produce the number of engineers we need from our own domestic supplies. Our IT industry is awash with them. Absolutely awash. We do not need them. They don't make America better. They don't make America more America. And why are we letting these people stay? H-1B visas are supposed to be for 3 years. A possible extension for a second 3 years. And then they go home. If they're not adding value in that limited window of time, why are they coming in the first place? Why are they buying homes? Who lives in a foreign nation for 3 years and buys a house? Obviously, they're just exploiting our immigration system. Their real goal is to get that green card, become a paperwork American citizen, build a 130-acre Hindu temple so they never have any pressure to assimilate. They have their own Indian enclave there in New Jersey. None of that is in America's interest. So, Vivek, you know what the drivers are against excellence in America? There are things like DEI. There are things like affirmative action. There are things like allowing our public schools to consume vast billions of dollars and turn out students who are not educated. Is that the students' fault? None of that is solved in America's interest by importing tens or hundreds of thousands of Indians. We need a place in society where excellence is prioritized. It doesn't have to be all of society. This kind of creepy, by the way, this world that Vivek describes here, where all the parents make sure their kids don't watch slop on TV, where all the kids prioritize engineering and math over being a prom queen. Is that what India's like, Vivek? Has he never been to India? I'd rather have a prom queen. I think most of us would agree. Now, I'm going to share some tabs here. These all come from Rasmussen Reports, which obviously is a pollster type organization. So I don't consider them trustworthy. I don't trust any polling. But nevertheless, it's I think what's being communicated here as essentially messages from the base, I think reflects the kind of emotional impact that Trump's words in that interview have had, and therefore how damaging they are to our American body politic. Let's take a look at this. One person wrote in, seeing Trump call us untalented. These are all young people, recent college graduates. Seeing Trump call us untalented has turned me away from him forever. I don't accept his future apology. I hope he gets destroyed in the midterms. I voted for him all 3 times. Just some perspective. I'm a white dude with a mechanical engineering degree, 3.4 GPA, graduated in 4 years. It's a 5-year program generally. I passed the fundamentals of engineering exam on the first try as a college junior. And guess what job market stopped hiring when I graduated in 2020? Effing engineering. COVID destroyed engineering for Americans. You can get all the right credentials, but because you're white and male, you don't get hired. Well, the ones who were in the industry have been getting fired and told to train their effing Indian H-1B replacement. I never thought I could be portrayed as hard as Trump just did right now. America First in his mind is a word concept fallacy. He's either effing stupid or a liar. It might be too late to change course, but at least he's not Harris. I'm devastated, to say the least. 23% of American-born STEM graduates actually work in STEM. No talent, my effing ass. How about this one? I'm a millennial. I got a computer science degree at a community college with some certifications and worked some small tech and labor jobs on and off. The area I'm from was devastated during the offshoring of basically every major business factory in the area during the 80s, 90s, and it's pretty poor. Despite this, basically every job I worked at some amount of H-1Bs or open illegals as part of the workforce, despite there being hardly any work in this area. In 2017, I went back to college, graduated magna cum laude in computer science with a minor in business at a high-ranking college. My final semester was during COVID, and I basically lost everything. The most important being my internships. I had to move back in with my parents. I've been working odd jobs while trying to build a small business for myself. I've probably sent out 200 job applications. Since 2021, I've only heard back from 5. 3 of which were scams, and 2 of which I was just rejected for lack of experience for an entry-level position I'm overqualified for. I voted for Trump 3 times, partly for cultural issues, but also because I knew he was the only chance of things getting better. I still think he was by far the best choice, and things would be worse now than that alternative. But his comments on the economy earlier in the week shook me a bit, and his most recent comments on H-1B that just released just left a pit in my stomach. I don't know if I'll be able to sleep tonight or why I should even bother getting up in the morning. I've never been involved with crime or drugs, excelled in college for a tech degree, which my parents and I paid for out of pocket, and I've never taken any form of government handout. Despite all this, I've lost all hopes for any prospects for my future, unless something changes really, really soon. By the way, really, really soon means in like 6 months. Because otherwise, the Republicans lose the House, and Trump's impeached again, and the House launches investigations, and it's all over for MAGA. If this is the tune from the administration for the next 3 years, I don't think I'll ever bother with voting again. I've never felt more demoralized than I do tonight. Again, this is the emotional impact. Another one. I'm sure you're going to get bombed with comments after Trump's H-1B comments. Speaking frankly, I hope Republicans lose so bad that Democrats impeach him again. I've gone through the humiliation ritual of looking for a technical job recently. It's horrible. I've seen entire offices become an Indian village overnight. No issue gives me more autism than the American talent issue. I don't want to hear a single drop of cope from any Trump glaze, I guess that's a Trump fan, account. Any tether Trump had to reality was murdered by a furry. No more Miller will save us. Cope. Just like Vivek on Christmas for me, there is no recovery from this. My parents had their relationship destroyed with my brothers for this man, Trump. How many other families were ripped apart over him? For what? Infinite Indians? One more. My voice isn't very loud, but yours can be. I'm a CPA who was laid off last month. A ton of us were laid off. Who wasn't laid off? The H-1B workers they brought over from India, and the Indians are work also now being offshored to. This is a crisis in our country. We're giving our jobs away, jobs that can be done against Trump's belief by talented American workers. You have American companies paying for accounting and tax work, and the money is all being sent offshore to India. How does this help the U.S. economy? How does all this help the U.S. economy? And of course, this was not always Trump's tune, was it? This is Trump in 2016.
Well, first of all, I think, and I know the H-1B very well, and it's something that I frankly use, and I shouldn't be allowed to use. We shouldn't have it. Very, very bad for workers. And second of all, I think it's very important to say Well, I'm a businessman and I have to do what I have to do, and it's sitting there waiting for you, but it's very bad. It's very bad for business in terms of, it's very bad for our workers, and it's unfair for our workers, and we should end it.
That's why Trump got elected. That's why Trump got elected. Trump, March 3rd, 2016. He writes, Megyn Kelly asked about highly skilled immigration. The H-1B program is neither high skilled nor immigration. These are temporary foreign workers imported from abroad for the explicit purpose of substituting for American workers at lower pay. I remain totally committed, Trump said in 2016, to eliminating rampant, widespread H-1B abuse and ending outrageous practices such as those that occurred at Disney in Florida when Americans were forced to train their foreign replacements. By the way, is there any reason we can't reverse that? Is there any reason we can't force H-1B Indians to train Americans as their replacements? If the issue is really lack of skill, lack of training, lack of experience, make the H-1Bs do it. We've had to do it for them. Maybe turn the tables a little bit. Trump in 2016 wrote, I will end forever the use of the H-1B as a cheap labor program and institute an absolute requirement to hire American workers first for every visa and immigration program, no exceptions. And of course, recently we had Trump issue his executive order about the $100,000 fee on H-1Bs. So what's going on? Why the mixed messaging? Now, again, I would encourage all of you, the motto should be always chimp out. As this Trump supporting account notes, Trump is not an ideologue. He's pragmatic. He's incredibly persuadable. It's a strength, but with the wrong people surrounding him, it turns into a disaster. You have to be completely blind to not see this. Well, he is persuadable. It's in our interest to see that he's persuaded. Wall Street Math says, I really hope that Stephen Miller or someone else can explain to President Trump this is not what we voted for. This is a path for giving away the midterms in 2026 and Democrats launching investigations and impeachments for 2 years. Trump's base is going to stop caring soon if this continues. Trump needs to turn it around.